now I am going to start about that input and output. This input and output, you have to use it. You input means you have to use a keyword as scanf, and output means you have to use as a printf, and you have to use a format specifier. For example, if you want to use it integer essence, you have to use a percentage d and ampersand of a, and you have to use a output. You have to print in a console page means you have to use a printf percentage d, you have to use a, and the second one is அடுத்து we have to use a for loop. Why we have to go for loop is in order to you have to use a certain condition. I want to run, if you take us at if you want to print some 500 lines essence, for 500 stars essence, you have to take and write first star, second star, third star. So how many times you have to spend? It is a very too much of time, but it is also very insensitive, that's why we have to go for the loop concept. If you set a condition and how you have to end means you have to take us certain kind of loop. A loop, it is for the definition of the loop, it is a repetition of certain code or certain block until the condition is false. It can repetition. So the syntax of the loop, so for initialization, condition, check increment or decrement. For example, you have to print hello 10 times means you have to start a iteration I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, then you have to print of hello. So in this line means you have to take us you have to print us 10 times as a hello. So this is about that loop. And also we have to use a while loop also. While loop is same essence. This is that entry control loop. It is also other name as entry control loop. This while you have to set a condition how much time they have to execute it, how we have to end it, you have to declare this while condition. And statement, you have to write certain statement. For example, you have to print a is equal to 10, you have to analyze a not less than is equal to 0, and you have to print at percentage d a minus minus means you have to minus that, decrement that a value 10 இருந்து automatically they have to decrement. And do while also, this is at exit control loop, it at least it can execute it once, but that this while loop, it is a entry control. Whether the condition is false, it can't allow that control into that while loop. So this do while loop, at least one time it can be executed. So that is called as a do while. What is the difference between while and do while? This is a entry control loop, and this is an exit control loop. The condition, it can be at the form of the end of the statement. This is called as an entry control and exit control loop. So and it's also the other conditional statements. If the condition is true, the statement 1 is printed, else otherwise the statement 2 is printed. This is a conditional statement. And switch cases, if you want to use for example, if you the condition is easily accurate means, switch, it can, if you want, I occurred that that certain means, I want to break that code, so you have to use this case, switch case. So default, if the condition is failure, the default case is occurred. Okay, so then some operators, and operators, there are having at 8 operators: arithmetic operator, relational operator, logical operator, bitwise operator, assignment operator, component assignment, and shift left shift and right shift. And we have to use the string functions. Why we have to use the string function? In a sense, string, it is a group of words. In order to processing some of words, group of words, we have to use the string. They are having a various string length, string reverse, string category. Compare, you have to compare one string. In order to find the length of the string, you have to use the string functionality, strlen. And in order to find the SDR, you have to reverse the string, you have to use the SDR REV. You have to concatenation the string, you have to use the SDR CAT. And you have to copy the string SDR CPY. And you have to compare the string of S1 and S2, you have to use this compare two strings. So these are all about the string function, and these are all the numeric function about that inbuilt functionality. These are library file, power n of x, ce of 1 comma 3, abs of log x, sin s, cos s, tan x. So procedure is a function whose return type is void, which void means it can return nothing, but in function types we have to use return. You have to return. So this function is some of that function, it can be occur in that block or block of code in in that block only. It can't be executed if you want to build a certain if you want to build a certain some specific structure, you have to use a function. Specific function, you have to use a function. And you have to return type is on the type we have to use. So these are all about the procedure.